Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Karina Garcia. John Brubaker has the night off. A 25-year-old Port Lavaca man is headed to prison for the shooting death of 19-year-old Cohen Berm. A Calhoun County jury sentenced Blake Downs to 30 years in prison. He'll have to serve at least half of that sentence before he is eligible for parole. Blake Downs shot and killed Berm at his home on Holloman Road in Port Lavaca on April 9th of 2022. Leading us to your viewer poll this evening, you can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, do you think the Blake Downs sentencing was an appropriate punishment, yes or no? According to our results, it looks like 64% voted no, and the remaining 36% stand at yes. Thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And of course, we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10. An athlete in the CrossFit Games has died while competing in a swimming event Thursday morning on a North Texas lake near Fort Worth. Emergency crews recovered a body from Marine Creek Lake where CrossFit Games were taking place. Officials arrived on scene at about 8 a.m. to conduct search and rescue operations using boats, dive teams, and drones to search for the missing swimmer. Officials identified the body as 28-year-old Lazar Dukchik of Serbia. A cause of death is yet to be confirmed. CrossFit CEO Don Fall says the CrossFit community is like family and they're all mourning today's tragic loss.
CrossFit is deeply saddened by the death of one of our athletes during the swim portion of our event this morning. We're doing everything in our power during this tragic time to support the family, to support our community. We are collaborating and working very closely with the authorities on the follow-on investigation.
Event officials say the rest of the day's events and activities were canceled as they continue to work with investigators to determine what went wrong. Tropical Storm Debbie is still a major threat after making a second landfall overnight with more tornadoes and flash flooding.
Debbie making a second landfall overnight as a tropical storm, leaving several states on alert, the death toll rising as the storm heads up the East Coast.
Take cover now, move to a basement or interior room in the lowest area.
In Wilson County, North Carolina, a confirmed tornado leveled this home, killing the man inside.
When we got here, the tornado had knocked out the first story of the structure, and it was basically as you can see, it's a now one-story structure with the second story on top.
His neighbor saying he's never seen anything like it.
Looked back out the back door and I seen a twister going across the backyard and stuff was flying, and I went down there praying.
Several other homes and a middle school on the same road were also destroyed. In Wrightsville Beach, the wind pushing the sand. It also took down this fishing pier sign. North Carolina's governor increasing the number of National Guard activated to 374 with the threat of even more flooding and tornadoes.
Right now, 32 counties have states of emergency declared. We expect there will probably be more as this storm moves north and west.
Video showing traffic delays with flooding in Cumberland County. The same in Fayetteville and Chapel Hill. Georgia and South Carolina also saturated. Nearly 20 inches of rain falling in some places already. And further south in Florida, where Debbie hit as a Category 1 hurricane Monday, this entire neighborhood in Sarasota underwater. Many saying they had no flood insurance. There is a concern for tornadoes for much of North Carolina and Virginia tonight. More heavy rain and flooding also possible. Sean Coffey, ABC News, Lucama, North Carolina.
And with that, let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis. Mac, what can you tell us about Hurricane Debbie right now?
Well, Debbie is still a problem, although it is falling apart. However, it is going to be going up the major Atlantic seacoast, and as a result, many of the metropolitan areas from Washington, D.C. all the way up to New York are going to be dealing with that. But there's also other news for us. Way out here in the Atlantic, there is an easterly wave that's developing. For about 2 days, it's not going to have much luck organizing, but then after that, it's going to be in the pocket. It looks like it will strengthen and come up to the East Coast. We'll take a closer look at that coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. A quick reminder, a road closure notice for you from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The 300 block of Albright Road will be closed on Monday for the installation of a cattle guard. Now, former President Donald Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, is testing out new lines of attack against his new opponent from Minnesota. That's the Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, accusing him of, quote, stolen valor.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance is opening a line of attack into Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's military career as the two veterans now vie to be vice president.
When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him.
Walz served 24 years in the Army National Guard. He filed papers to run for Congress in February of 2005 and retired from his unit in May of that year, 2 months before deployment orders appeared. Service members often submit their papers months before their retirement date. It's unclear when Walz submitted his paperwork, but Vance is also accusing him of falsely claiming he served in a combat zone.
What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not.
He's pointing to this clip of Walz talking about gun control.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
In a statement, the Harris campaign responded, saying, quote, in his 24 years of service, the governor carried, fired, and trained others to use weapons of war innumerable times.
He went overseas and served where the Army told him. And it wasn't in Afghanistan, it was in Italy, but that's where his unit was. He was making a broader point, not about his military service, about how these weapons of war have no place in our schools killing our kids.
As for Vance, he served 4 years in the Marines as an enlisted combat correspondent in public affairs and was deployed to Iraq for roughly 6 months.
I never said that I saw a firefight myself.
The attacks on Walz's military record come as both parties seek to define the governor, who is relatively unknown on the national stage. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
A 15-year-old Virginia high school football player dies after collapsing during practice. The teen was a student at Hopewell High School. The school district says the incident occurred when the team took a water break after doing about 40 minutes of light drills. Hopewell City public officials say the student collapsed 10 feet near the coach. 2 coaches performed CPR and called 911. The student then died at the hospital. A third person died from a listeria outbreak tied to the deli meats. Since May, 43 people in multiple states have been hospitalized with the listeria infection. The food poisoning outbreak led to the recall of more than 7 million pounds of boar's head deli meats. Listeria poisoning is caused by a particular resilient type of bacteria that can survive and grow even during refrigeration. Many of the products recalled by Boar's Head are meats meant to be sliced at grocery store deli counters, though some prepackaged meats are included in this recall. The family of a man killed in the Titan submersible implosion is filing a $50 million lawsuit. The lawsuit against Ocean Gate Expedition states the crew experienced, quote, terror and mental anguish before the disaster. All 5 passengers on board were killed when the craft suffered a catastrophic implosion en route to the wreckage of the Titanic back in June of 2023. The lawsuit also accuses OceanGate of gross negligence. The investigation does remain active. Now, 90% of Texans told pollsters with the University of Houston and Texas Southern University that housing affordability is a problem where they live. More than half of Texans polled say they face financial strain resulting from housing costs. You can read this Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. 1 year later, in Hawaii is still recovering from the deadly Maui wildfires. Coming up on 25 News now at 6, we take a look at those recovery efforts. Also ahead, a major company recalls several stoves that have the potential of starting house fires. The rate of stroke deaths among middle-aged Americans was the highest in 2 decades during the pandemic. The CDC report shows the stroke death rate for people ages 45 to 64 grew 7% from 2012 to 2019. Then it spiked another 12% in 2020 and 2021. Medical experts warn that middle age is an important time to manage risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. Federal prosecutors are accusing Hunter Biden of once again agreeing to foreign lobbying. New court filings Wednesday report Hunter Biden agreed to lobby United States officials on behalf of Romanian businessman. The latest accusations stem from special counsel David West. He's prosecuting Hunter Biden for reported tax evasion. He claims Biden did reach out to government officials, even though prosecutors did not go into detail about those communications. Hunter's team denies those claims. Today marks 1 year since the historic fire disaster on Maui. More than 100 lives lost and thousands of people displaced. But 1 year later, hope has returned.
The first year was about survival. The second year will be about rebuilding.
Today marks 1 year since wildfires began devastating the Hawaiian island of Maui. It's the deadliest such disaster in modern U.S. history, killing more than 100 people. Hawaii Governor Josh Green says to honor them, he has ordered flags to fly at half-staff.
It has been an incredible challenge for so many families.
Officials say the flames left more than 3,000 families homeless.
Here was a lanai that you can have barbecues and everything right over here.
A year later, officials say many still don't have permanent housing. The governor hopes the recent $4 billion settlement with Hawaiian Electric and others will help people start over.
This is our 6th move, so hopefully we're hoping it'll be our last until it's time to rebuild.
The historic community of Lahaina is still devastated after it was largely wiped out.
We didn't know that our whole town would be gone.
It's the former capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The remnants of this church are on what's considered the birthplace of Christianity on the island. Its graveyard is still intact. Some believers see that as a sign of hope.
I was actually amazed how much is still intact. I think because of the people that are here, it's protected.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Samsung is issuing a safety recall because of a design flaw in some of its stoves. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says about 1.1 million units are affected, including both gas and electric models. If a flammable object is on top of one of these models, pets and even humans can start a fire by bumping into the knobs. Several videos shows pets accidentally igniting fires by jumping onto the stove or hitting the knobs. The company will provide free knob locks or covers for the affected products.
Well, in the weather, the heat is on and it will stay on for quite some time. Oven-like temperatures, yes. Right now we're at about 95 degrees out there. Our high today got up to 96, so, you know, 1 or 2 little clouds out there sort of helped out, knocked the temperature back down a little bit, but that is where we're supposed to be this time of year. But as we get into the next 7 days, we're going to be stuck in this very hot weather pattern. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, there's some more tropical stuff, and we'll talk about that coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everyone. The heat is on, and you probably felt it again today as we got up to 96. Of course, the entire state of Texas is under the same dome of heat, and we're just not going to be getting out of this for any time soon. So just, grin and bear it. We're going to have to just sort of get by as best we can. In the Southwest, they're getting what they call the monsoon flow, which is basically the Gulf air coming up out of the Gulf of California here, and that gives them some rain. For us, absolutely nothing. And then, of course, everything is on the East Coast with Debbie. We have heat advisories up for tomorrow, and so just remember, in the middle of the afternoon, you got to just take it easy and don't overdo it. You can walk across the parking lot, sure, but it's when you're doing hard work and you're perspiring, and then you perspire more, and then you perspire more, and then all of a sudden your body can't cool itself down. So that's what we're talking about, doing exertion in the middle of the afternoon. So let's go see what's going on in the Atlantic. Here's Debbie, as you can see, falling apart. No longer a tropical storm. It's just a big nuisance right now. But then you got to focus on this one. This is an easterly wave. It's way out in the middle of the Atlantic. For about 2 days, it's going to have a tough time developing because of Saharan dust, but then after that it does have a good ways to get organized, and the computer models are bringing it up to tropical storm strength, possibly calling it Ernesto, and then it takes it somewhere along the East Coast before it does the big turn. Now the thing is going to be, how close will it get to the East Coast? If it comes up to the shoreline, whoa, it's going to be a problem for much of the Carolinas and Florida. If it just skirts out a little bit farther out to sea, they're going to be in a whole better shape, but it could be that they're followed back-to-back storms moving along the East Coast. There's the rain. There's some clearing in in South Carolina. The rain now moving up, believe it or not, into Washington, D.C., where they're getting tremendous rainfall tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be in New York State before it finally gets picked up by the prevailing westerly winds and gets pulled away. This is the reason that Ernesto's having a tough time right now. There's a lot of Saharan dust blowing into the middle part of the atmosphere out there, so it's helping it or resisting it from really growing very rapidly. And then that stuff will be in our area in about 2-3 days, so not a problem. That storm is, again, not coming toward us. It's going to be aimed at Florida unless something really weird happens to the big dome. The rainfall will be tremendous. You can see the big rains coming through the Appalachian Mountains. There's Winston-Salem, and all of the mountainous areas are getting some tremendous rainfall all the way up to the East Coast. There you see the 4 to 6 inch range that is expected all the way up to Canada. Now, the reason I'm saying it's not coming in this direction, because it would have to plow through this dome, and that's not going to happen. This dome is so big, so large, it'll be in control of all of the southern United States, so the storm, or the tropical storm, will come up, bump into it, and make that big turn before anything else would happen. So we've got a very simple forecast: wall-to-wall sunshine and a 96, fairly light winds. Wall-to-wall sunshine in Cuero with a 96 as well, fairly light winds, and I'm saying that only because you need a breeze to sort of help you cool down. High heat index tomorrow about 110 on Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to stay in that sort of low gear of hot weather for the season, staying like that at least through 7 days. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. If you scan that with your cell phone, you can put Crossroads a Day right on your cell phone. So we'll toss it over to Karina.
Thank you, Mac. Sports.
All right, Karina, coming up, we reveal who this week's Athlete of the Week will be here on 25 News Now. I'll tell you who that is coming up in sports. Well, and it's time to reveal who our athlete of the week it is. So most recently, he represented the city of Victoria in the national scale in the Senior Little League World Series, and it is Leyland Ring. He played a crucial role in Victoria Northeast success of the season. He stopped by here and spoke to us about his journey.
My mom and my dad, they're real tough on me, and they instill a lot of discipline into me, and so that plays a big part into the person I am on the field. Hey, so that was it was an electric moment. Throughout the whole game, my job was to keep my team up and be a leader out there, not letting us get down on ourselves and losing that game earlier than we could have. We knew that we could come back, and so just picking everybody up until the very last hit, whenever it happened, that was just it was amazing. Whenever I go into the game, I just try to be the best player I am, because I know that the work that I put in off the field, as long as I just go and I play my best game, it'll come to life.
Ring in just his 16 games, and man, he finished with 19 RBIs and had a batting average of .440. Now, the past 2 days, we've been highlighting two premier teams in Ganado and Refugio, which, man, they're the top teams in Class 2A Division I, but now we move over to Class 2A Division II with the Shiner Comanches. The Comanches come into this season ranked number 3 in the Dave Campbell's Division II rankings as of right now. But the Comanches lost some big pieces from last season. They lost one of their starting quarterbacks. So now senior Carson Schott, he's going to have to be the target now for the Comanches. And tight end Sean Liska, who's a huge target last season for the Comanches, will be huge for this season. So they're moving down to Division II now, so we'll see. They play some different opponents coming up. Their first game will be against Hallettsville, and that'll be home on August 30th. So we'll see how they play in a lower division, and think they'll probably make another run to the state title this upcoming season. Now over to baseball. Even though the Rangers, like I mentioned, were off today as they're trying to travel to play the Yankees tomorrow, they wanted to make a stop to the White House to meet President Biden to celebrate their 2023 World Series championship. The Rangers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks last season and are hoping to make a run back to the World Series. Biden had some quick, fun little words to say about the Rangers team.
Dallas-Fort Worth and the entire Metroplex, you're used to winning championships. I noticed that.
Now the Rangers, they bring back a lot of similar players from that team in season, including 2023 ALS MVP Adolis Garcia. And then Biden, as you can see here, he's got a Texas jersey and some boots. So bring a little bit of Texas style now up there to the White House, as we see there for President Biden. Now to end the show here, track superstar Noah Lyles said to the media he tested positive for COVID-19. Yes, everyone, he still ran the 200-meter race, but he got bronze, and Kenny Benerick will get silver, and then Botswana rider Letso Tobacco, he would get gold in the event. And man, hopefully for Lyles, he can get back quickly there from COVID-19. And then USA, they beat Serbia today, and they would advance to the gold medal match against the host country, France. That game will be August 10th at 2:30 p.m. That's all here in sports. Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Max. And we're back in a moment. The San Diego Zoo has 2 new pandas from China, the first 2 in decades. People are getting their first public view of two giant pandas in California. The pair arrived from China earlier this summer. They were sent to the U.S. as a sign of friendship and are the first giant pandas to enter the country in 2 decades. The two are now enjoying a newly refurbished and expanded habitat. China is expected to send the pandas to other zoos, including to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. So we have more friendship packs along the way.
Yeah.
You know, pandas are actually really, really cute. I think we've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
They're a little, they're not all there. You know?
I didn't.
No, they're kind of. Is that right? They're not that smart, is what I'm trying to say.
You sit there and eat eucalyptus all day long, you get a little crazy, you know?
You haven't seen those viral videos of pandas almost killing themselves because they're so silly? Yeah.
I just know that they're the cutest little things ever. I mean, what was the good Lord thinking, making the big black eyes like that?
You just want to cuddle them.
Just exactly, but they're still ginormous.
They're still bears
animals,
at the end of the day.
Well, folks, the pandas are not coming here because it's just too hot. Yeah, they said, no, we're not going to Texas. So they're going to be on the East Coast and the Northeast. And so for us, it's just going to be August out there, looking at almost triple digits or just under triple digits right on through the weekend. If you have plans outdoors, you can have a great time. Just don't overexert yourself in the middle of the afternoon.
That's right. Thank you, Mac, and thank you for joining us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.